All right. Looks like we are officially live on this Friday morning. It is November 12th and it is 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we are ready to kick off the weekend. And today, what I'm going to be talking about is a question that comes up quite a bit when we are talking about creating content, publishing content on our websites. And really, the question is, when should I edit old content? Really, should I, to improve traffic on our site and getting traffic from Google? So that's what we're going to talk about here. That's going to be our little jam session topic. If you are just tuning in and you missed this past week, I did announce that we're going to be doing our 7-day content creation challenge starting on Monday. So if you're listening to this or watching this on, well, let's see here, November 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, you can still join us. And if you head on over to, let me get that up there, launchyourcontent.com. Again, that's launchyourcontent.com. And from there, you can join us for 7 days. We're going to be going live, and we're going to be taking you through that process and what it looks like. And when you get content up there and it's starting to get traffic, then you will start to look at numbers and traffic numbers and then see if, you should tweak it or edit it. But the question always is, when should I do that? How old does the post have to be? And that's what we're going to talk about here on the jam session. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing kicked off here because we need to, we need to get this, this going and kind of get on with our day because, I've got a busy weekend coming up and I've got a bunch of stuff to do here today before we get ready to tackle the weekend. So I did want to show up and deliver this jam session. So if you have any questions on this, let me know. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. We're going to get rocking and rolling. All right. So here we go. Let me get my notes up. And if you're just tuning in, we're going to kick this thing off right now and get into it. Take one sip of coffee, and then we're going to get rocking and rolling. All right, here we go. All right, guys, welcome back to another Friday jam session. Today, what I'm going to be talking about and really answering the question, and that is, when should I edit old content to improve traffic from Google? And that's going to be our jam session topic. Now, if you're listening to this, you're not here live. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can always head over to takeactioncrew.com and you can sign up over there. It's free. And you'll become one of our morning crew people and where we hang out. And we're doing this right now. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, this is a recording, obviously. But we jam on a topic and usually a question. And this one today is exactly what I just said, because a lot of people they'll create the content, they'll publish the content, and then they'll want to play with it a little bit, right? They want to finesse it a little bit, or they want to improve it a little bit because they think if they do something to it, it's going to rank better or it's going to rank faster. And the thing is sometimes we just got to let it sit. We got to let it marinate a little bit. It's kind of like, taking that piece of steak and marinating it 24 hours versus just slapping some stuff on top of it and throwing it on the grill, right? We let it marinate. It's going to taste a little better, right? But it takes a little bit of time. We got to be patient. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today. And I do have some points here that I want to make and some things that you can ask yourself if you've already been creating content, and when is the right time and how much editing should you do? All right. So I'm going to be talking about those different areas. So if you're brand new to creating content, this will help you. If you're already up and running in creating content, this will definitely help you. Now, before we do get rocking and rolling here on this jam session, get it? Jam session, rocking and rolling. Before we do get started here, I did want to let you know that, again, depending on when you're listening to this, we are going to be doing a 7-day content creation challenge, our second one. And if you missed it, it's okay. you can still go through it. It just won't be live, but we are going to be doing one live here in the coming month. And you can find that by heading over to launchyourcontent.com. Again, that's launchyourcontent.com. And we'll probably do another one live again, but you can always go back and go through the 7-day content creation challenge by visiting that URL. All right. And that'll help you because we'll take you all the way through 7 days, one action step every day. And by the end of it, you will have a piece of content that is researched, that is written, that is optimized, and that is published. All right. That is the goal of the 7-day content creation challenge. So I would definitely recommend going through that, at least so you have the framework down, the process down, and you get comfortable with it. Because once you get a piece of content out there, then we can do things that I'm going to be sharing with you on today's episode. All right. So let's just dive right in. So the very first question, there's 3 questions that you need to ask yourself, and I'm going to work you through these or walk you through these, work through these. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's Friday. Hey, I mean, I'm just kind of rambling here today. I'm ready for the weekend. So the very first question that we need to ask ourselves is this: how old is the content? And really, this also allows us to know, should we just let it sit? Is it done kind of working its way through the rankings? Has Google already kind of put it in the position where it's going to stay? So that's what we need to first answer, is that question: how old is the content? And so now with that, you may say, well, it's 7 months old. Well, I want a piece of content to be 6 months minimum before I touch it, right? So once I go ahead and publish that piece of content, I want to just back off of it and move on to another piece of content. I want to plant another seed, okay? And 6 months is a good rule of thumb, but it could be longer before it's actually going to finally settle in. Now, once your site gets a little bit more mature, it gets some more authority, that ranking could happen quicker. So it might be 4 months, maybe 5 months, but it's always a good rule to keep publishing fresh content, okay? And then 6 months later, come back and maybe look then at your numbers and say, okay, where are things shaking out here? And are there some things here that I might be able to do? Okay. But my second question is going to determine what that is. Okay. Because we're going to look at some other things. So the very first question that we have to ask ourselves is this: how old is the content? And if it's 6 months or older, then we can move on. Okay. If it's not, stop and just move on to some new content. All right. Don't worry about that piece of content yet. All right. Okay. So that's number one. How old is your content? Okay. 6 months or older, then we might, maybe not. That's when we're going to consider improving it. Consider, that's the key word there. Okay. So the second question that we want to ask ourselves is this: where is it ranking now? Okay. So we've answered the first question. It is 6 months or older. We're looking at the rankings and we're like, oh, it's on page 1, but it's at the bottom of page 1. So here's a little thing I want you to be aware of. When you are on page 1, you are now, in the top 10. We need to be careful there with doing too much. Okay. And now, if you're at the bottom of the page and you're getting, 2 visits per month because that keyword, that long tail, or even the phrases that you're showing up for don't deliver a lot of traffic, then play with it. It doesn't matter then, because we know if we get it to, the top 3, we're going to get more of the traffic that's there, which might not be all that much. But if we're talking about you're getting 300 visitors to your website every single month, or even maybe you're getting 30 visits a day, right? And you're getting 900, 1,000 visitors, and you're on page 1, but you're at the bottom of page 1, I would probably be careful. Like, I would not do too much. Okay. Now, there are a few things that we can do that won't really affect the ranking going the opposite way. Okay. And I'm going to cover a few of these here. But when you're on page 1, even if it's at the bottom, just be careful. Okay. Don't do too much, because that could actually negatively affect the rankings. And it probably will. If you do something that is more than probably 20% of the piece of content, and what I mean by that is you're going to edit more than 20% of it, you're going to add a new section, you're going to add a bunch of images, you're going to change a lot of stuff up, it's going to probably lose ranking and then come back. But you are going to probably, because it's a brand new post in Google's eyes, or a very an optimized or updated post. So that's why I say be careful when you're on page 1. When you're on page 2, you really got nothing to lose other than get to page 1. So then I would say, okay, then we can do a few more things here. Okay. But even at that, we want to be gentle with this. We don't want to over optimize, or we don't want to over edit. Okay. So if we say that it's on page 2 and we want to get it to page 1, a simple thing that you can do, and this is what we've done and we're continuing to test, is add links to that post. So here's what I mean. It doesn't have to be an external link. It can be your internal link. So number one, if your piece of content does not have an internal link from your site, from one of your other posts going to that post, you should do that. Even if we were talking the same scenario, is if the post is on the bottom of page 1, adding a link to that post isn't going to hurt it negatively. If anything, it would help it. It might not do anything, but I would add a link from another article on your site that obviously would refer to this article. And what that does is it gives it internal linking juice. Okay. So whatever link authority juice that your site has, it will transfer some of that over to that page, which could give it a nudge up. Okay. Now, another thing that you could do is you could do that same thing, but maybe what you'll do is you'll look at your backlinks that are coming in from your site, which, by the way, we have not built any links to 2 of our sites right now that we're using as our case study sites. We have built no links externally. Okay. All of them have naturally been attracted, and we've got some pretty good links that have come in because we have good resources, and then other sites link over to it. That gives us a good link. So what we can do is we can look at our backlinking profile. We can use Ubersuggest, we can use Ahrefs, whichever, it doesn't matter. And then what we want to do is see, okay, where is there a good link coming to a post of mine? And then could I take that post and link to the other post that I want to drive up in the rankings? So in reality, I'm taking a higher authoritative post on my site, and I'm adding a link there that points to the one page or the one post that I want to increase. Okay. And I know that seems a little complicated. It really isn't. It's literally just finding a page on or a post on your site that's got a link pointing to it. And then from that post, link to the page that you want to increase the rankings, and try that. Okay. And try that. And that won't hurt anything. If anything, it will help it. Okay. So that's another thing that you can do. And by doing this, even if you were on page 1, I wouldn't feel as though that's too aggressive and that's going to hurt me. If anything, that would help. Okay. Because I didn't really change anything in the content. All I did was I added a signal, basically a link that's pointing to it that could transfer some link juice over to that post, which could drive up the rankings. Okay. So that is the second thing. Where is it ranking now? And then we're looking at page 1, page 2. Okay. Those are the ones that we're kind of like, okay, maybe we want to improve this. But there's one other question we have to ask ourselves before we even do anything, before we make that decision to do anything. And that is, how much traffic potential does this post have? Let me say that again. How much traffic potential does this post potentially have? Now, we're going to be able to look at this post inside of Ubersuggest, and we can see, okay, what is the search volume for this one phrase? Okay. And now we can't really say how much traffic is coming from all of these other variations, because all we're doing is basing it on this one at this point, which you guys know, I've said this before, a lot of times your content, your long tail is only one side of it, because there's a whole bunch of other keywords that you can then get picked up and then point over where people are going to discover that post. But if we are looking at the surface and you're ranking for a keyword that's getting 1,400 searches all by itself, then that would be an indicator that maybe, you know what, we want to go ahead and try to nudge this one up a little bit. But if we're talking 50 searches a month, I don't know if I would bother with it. I might throw a link to it, but I don't know if I'd bother with it, because getting to page one of not a lot of traffic, it might not be worth your time. So I would only look at the main keyword now, the long tail. And this is different than when we're doing like normal, keyword research, because when we're doing keyword research, I don't really care about the volume as much, especially in the very beginning, because we're going after relevancy and we're going after, traffic potential that is being just indexed. So that way there we can get relevancy, and then we can start getting some of these other variations coming in. But once we have 6 months of data, we're going to also see what keywords we're showing up for. And if we use Ahrefs, we can see also that page, what other keywords are driving that traffic. Then we can determine, okay, if I nudge this page up a little bit more, I'm going to increase what I'm already getting. Okay. So that's what I would do there, right? Is looking at the potential traffic gain. Okay. That's what we have to look at. So even if, okay, you answered question number one, this post is 6 months old. Number two, it's ranking on page 2 right now. But if we get to that third question and we're like, you know what? It's not really getting that much traffic. And I know that I could bump it up and maybe get all of these other variations, but right now my time is probably better spent on creating a new piece of content. Okay. So let's kind of run through those questions one more time. So number one, how old is the content? 6 months or older, then we move on. Number two, where is it ranking now? Page 1 or page 2? And then number three, how much traffic potential, and is it worth it to do the work to try to increase the rankings? Okay. So those are the 3 questions you need to ask yourself. Now, I'm going to give you 3 different things that we can do. And one of them is going to be a recap, but 3 different things that we can do for a simple edit to consider to increase the rankings. So number one, I said it earlier, add internal links. If you have no internal links right now going to any of your posts, that should be a weekend project for you. You should be doing that. You should be, part of your optimization process should be adding at least one internal link. So after you get 5 or 6 posts even, you should be starting to interlink those pages together. Okay. And what I mean by that is, it's just, if you mention something that is mentioned over here in this other one, then you interlink the 2 together. Okay. And back and forth. So that's just common optimization, 101 strategy. Like, we want to do internal linking. And if you use the Yoast plugin or Rank Math, it's going to give you that on your checklist to do. So internal links to other pages or from other pages is really, really important. And like I said earlier, you might want to look at some of your past posts. Again, if you have something that's 6 months old, you probably have some natural backlinks coming in. That's where we're going to look at our backlinking profile. We're going to then take a page that has a good, strong backlink, and we're going to use that post to add a link over to the post we're trying to increase the rankings. Okay. So that's, again, the simple number one thing that you can do. The second thing is add a new section. Okay. And you could add a section, maybe just, 400 words, 300 words. And then, or you could even do this, write a little summary about a YouTube video that you found that helps them visually see what you're explaining in the post, right? So add a YouTube video, embed it. Okay. Don't just link out to it, embed it into your site, and then write a little summary about it and why they should watch it. Okay. And then hit publish. That's an update. Okay. You've added an update to that blog post, and it's going to get signaled as an update, and it's going to keep people on your site longer too when they arrive there, which also could send a signal that people are liking this content. So that's the second thing, and that's an easy one to do. The third one is adding images, and also ask, or the frequently asked questions. We can do a FAQ section, or people also asked. We can do a few of those questions wherever you could elaborate and make it, even answering more of those other subtopics or even subtopics. Then we can update that and then hit publish. And now we've got more resources on the page. And then Google is going to see that and go, oh, this post has been updated. Let's re-index it. Okay. But again, if you're on page 1 and you do all of that, it could negatively affect you because it's going to probably take you out of position 8 or 9, wherever you are, and then move you maybe on page 5 for a little while and then bring you back. Don't know if you're going to land back on page 1. So you got to be careful with that. Okay. But that's why I said, if you're on page 1, make sure that you don't over edit unless there's a huge opportunity there for some additional traffic and you're willing to take that risk. But again, it's got to be over 6 months old. So number 1, add internal links. 2, add a section and refer to a YouTube video. And then the third one is add images or people also asked or frequently asked questions. Now, I wouldn't do all of these, right? If you're on page 1 or 2 and you just want to give it a nudge, I would do number 1. I would add internal links, and I would try to find a page on your site that has a good internal link or a good external link or link pointing to your page, and then transfer that over to that other page. That's what I would do there as like step number 1. The second one, which wouldn't be a full out edit, would be adding a YouTube video and a little brief summary about it. That would be not that much of an update, but it would be something that could give you a nudge. And then the third one is a little bit more of an edit, like 20% of that article could be new, and that could send a signal to Google that there's new content. It needs to be re-indexed. And also you're going to have more information on that site now that could get picked up for other long tail keywords. So you have all of those things to consider. All right. So that's what I would do. So how long do you wait? At least 6 months. You need to be patient with this stuff, and you need to just keep planting seeds. Okay. Keep planting seeds. And just because after 6 months, you're not ranking on page 1 or 2, if you let that go, you might start ranking in 8, 9 months. We've had that happen where we don't do anything. And a year later, all of a sudden, boom, a post takes off, right? So it doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. It's just if you want to nudge it a little bit after 6 months, we just wouldn't play with it until 6 months is here, okay? And that's when we would decide to possibly do that, all right? So there you go. That's what I would do. Now, what I'm going to do here, because this is a Friday jam session, and I think we have some questions that came in, I'm going to go ahead and see if we have any questions. And if there are, we're going to go ahead and answer them. And let's see here. Okay. So let's see. Troy is here. Okay, cool. So yeah, I've linked to videos, but embedding them would be better, correct? Help stay on your page. Absolutely. That's exactly what you want to do. Is you want to take that embed, okay? And you don't even need to use the embed code anymore. If you're using WordPress, all you're going to do is you're going to use the YouTube block inside of the block editor inside of WordPress, and you're going to add the URL, and then it's going to automatically embed, and then people can watch it on your site, which again will also allow them to stay on the site longer, which we all know is a good sign to Google, because that means people are staying on the site longer. It means that they're getting the information and they're enjoying it. All right. Let's see here. Okay. I don't know who this one is. It doesn't have a name to it, but I will go ahead and try to answer this. Do the ad networks look at how long the sessions are? Currently at 57 seconds, or does that even matter? Okay. So this is a great question. No, I do not believe there is a question or a time. If that ad is displayed for even a split second, then it's been displayed. If it can't load, then it won't, right? And usually your ads will load after your content. It's what they call lazy loading. So if you have a site that someone is on and they're scrolling, and that ad is appearing, and they scroll, and then another one appears, and they scroll, and another one appears, those are all ad impressions, and you will get paid for those. Okay. So no, I do not believe there is a time frame. So if you're saying that someone's on your site for 57 seconds, there's 57 seconds of ads. Now, if that person is sitting there in one position, there's what they call a sidebar sticky. And Mediavine says that that's one of the number one, what am I trying to say here? The number one way for your site to earn the highest RPM because it's stuck there. It's a sticky. Okay. Now I know Ezoic has one as well. I'm not sure if they automatically engage it or if you have to engage it. But from what I've learned just from doing these, and also from what they say, Mediavine, is that the sidebar sticky, even if you're on mobile, the sidebar sticky is going to be stuck there. So what that means is if someone's on your site for 57 seconds, you're going to get credit for that placement because that placement as a sticky has ads that are revolving through it. So if you're on that, it's not going to stay on the one. It might stay on that one for 5 seconds, and then it'll rotate to another one for 5 seconds, and then rotate to another one for 5 seconds. So even though someone's not scrolling, they're on the site longer, technically you have an opportunity to make more money because someone's on the site longer. Okay. So 3 minutes would be better than 57 seconds, obviously, right? So there you go. All right. So hopefully that helped you. Let's see here. Will you go over how to add link juice in the challenge? I will do that in one of the Q&A sessions for sure. Absolutely. And that would probably be at the tail end because we don't go into a ton of like, how would you edit a post later? Because I don't think we need to in the content creation challenge. A lot of times this is for people creating content from scratch or wants a refresher. But what I can do is I can go through that towards the end of the challenge or even do a bonus. Yeah, you know what? I could even do that. I could do a bonus in there, which I will do now. I think that's a great idea. I think we should do that. So if you guys are listening to this on the podcast or you're here live, we're going to be doing an upcoming 7-day content creation challenge. And that's what I'm addressing here. Yeah, we will probably do that. And if you're not yet registered for that, if you want to register for it, head on over to launchyourcontent.com. Again, that's launchyourcontent.com. And you can go there and check it out. Have us help you with some content. Okay, so let's see. This was that was me 57 question. Not sure what the deal is. Yeah, okay, that's Alejandro. So for some reason, Alejandro, you're not showing up today. Okay, and this is gonna be the last question for today. How much would sending people from Facebook to my site help it rank? Okay, I love this question because no matter how you're getting traffic, okay, if you have ads on your site running right now, those people over there will actually earn you money. Now, if you only have, 4 people showing up, it's not going to be all that much. If you got 400, it's going to be more. 4,000, even more. But what this will do, okay, and this is what a lot of people don't consider, especially when you're first starting your site, is if you can drive external traffic. Number one, Google likes that. But number two, the thing that a lot of people don't talk about is that now has a potential to be shared. Okay. So someone could share that blog post. So what I would do is I would share that post on Facebook and say, hey, share this with someone that needs help, planting palm trees or something, whatever the niche is, or catching more bass. And then encourage them to share it. Because then what that does is it will get you more visitors coming over to your website. So it's not necessarily going to help you as far as, oh, I drove traffic there, so more people visited my site today, so Google's going to look at that and increase my rankings. But it will allow Google to see that people are engaging with your content. Who knows? You might get a link from another site that likes your content. So now you get an external link, which could help your rankings. So all of those factors kind of come in from driving external traffic. But I wouldn't look at it as a way for you to drive organic traffic by sending people there. And Google's going to see that people are visiting the site, so they're going to rank you. No, it's the other things. It's people sharing the content with other people, getting more eyeballs. And then from there, possibly getting an external link. Maybe it's shared in a forum. So if someone's in a forum and we've all seen it, or in a Facebook group, someone might say, hey, here's a great article about X, right? And then they share that article. Well, now that article is embedded inside of that group, in that forum, whatever. And now you're going to get a link, but you're also going to get traffic. Okay. So that's what you got to consider whenever we're thinking about external traffic and driving our own Facebook, Facebook traffic or social media traffic. But that's the only time that I would do that, by the way, is for a piece of content. And that's what I would do. All right. So that is pretty much going to wrap up this Friday jam session. Couple things. Number one, if you want help creating content where you're able to research it and find the right keywords, by the way, get relevancy going on your site. And then from there, writing the content, structuring it, optimizing it, publishing it, then I would encourage you to go through our 7-day content creation challenge. And you can do that by heading over to launchyourcontent.com. The other thing is if you want to be part of these Friday jam sessions, I would highly encourage you to head on over to takeactioncrew.com. Again, that's takeactioncrew.com. And we can stay connected there. If you have any questions, you can always reach me through that email. Okay. Because once you sign up there, you'll be on my email list and then we can communicate back and forth. All right. So guys, that's it. That's going to wrap up this Friday jam session. Have an awesome, amazing weekend and take care, take action, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.